بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. Today we're going to discuss the issue of the translation of the Holy Quran. And there are several issues here and masail that we have to discuss. Is it okay, is it possible to translate the Quran and then you call the translation, you call it Quran? Just like the Old Testament, New Testament, the Bible. Today when you open the Bible, you get it from the bookstore. The Bible is called Holy Bible. But this is translation. This is English translation. This is a French. This is Spanish, Farsi, Arabic, Urdu. Is this really Holy Bible? Or Holy Bible is the one that Jesus received? Or the Torah is the one that Moses received? Is it the same with the Quran? If we pick up a translation and we can call it this is Holy Quran, and it does enjoy the same status, sacredness, we have to take care of it, we have to put it somewhere honorable, don't put it on the floor. If you touch the writings, you have to have wudu. For certain people during certain times, they should not read, let's say, more than 7 verses. These are issues that we discuss them in today's lesson. The translation of the Quran, and of course there are different opinions of the jurist. For instance, if someone does not speak Arabic, a convert who just converted, he's an American, he's a French, he's Spanish, and he converted today, and he wants to begin his prayers, religious obligations. And it's really difficult for him to recite his prayers in Arabic. Difficult to recite Surah Al-Fatiha. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillah. Even sometimes when they come to the office to convert, and when I recite the Shahadatain for them, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, it's difficult for them to pronounce. Difficult, so sometimes I repeat once, twice, 3 times. There are 2 opinions. Some people say, no, the translation has, the pronunciation has to be exact. If it is not exact, it's a problematic. And others, they say, no. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. God does not burden you beyond or above what you can take. This is his tongue, her tongue. So there are different verdicts and different opinions. Is it okay for someone to recite? Many people ask me this question. I can't, I do not master Arabic. I have a problem with Arabic. Can I recite Surah Al-Hamd in English? Hamd and Surah, the translation of them. Does it suffice for the qira'ah or it does not? What do you think?
If a person, while let's say he or she is learning, it should be okay, because they're doing their best. But they obviously have to make enough effort, reasonable effort to learn it and do it the right way.
Yes.
You can have the letters in English, but pronounce it, just reading it by English letters, you know.
Transliteration. It means transliteration. This is what I advise them. We used to have a Quran, Arabic translation, in the middle transliteration, which is the pronunciation of the Arabic but in English letters. So I would tell them, hold it in front of you. You can hold the paper while you are doing and try to read. Others, they say, no, someone has to stand with you, leaves his job, your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, and he recites for you, and then you recite after him. And if you don't pronounce it well, you have to repeat it second time. I was discussing this with a scholar, Marja. I said, Maulana, what do we do? He says, it's easy. You go there, stand, and then read for them. I said, and I leave my job from morning till evening. I go to this house and that house, and the prayers are 5 times a day. Can I go Salatul Fajr? Yani?
You do audio in that case.
Huh?
Put in audio. If you press a button and just.
Yeah. No, they say live person. Yeah. To make sure that if you say Alhamdulillah, don't say Alhamdulillah. For instance, say Alhamd. So he makes sure that you said it correctly. And then he passes to the second. Because the audio, he doesn't know how did you pronounce. But that person, the live person, he knows whether you said it. So if you said it correctly, he moved to the second.
But that can kind of deter people, I think, right?
Absolutely,
I mean,
of course.
like
This
you
is
can't pronounce it
absurd.
now.
Well, we can have a
5 times a day, not once a week, it's okay.
Yeah.
Once a week, it's okay. But 5 times a day, who has the time to go? And that person is going to run away.
Yeah.
have a series of
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
like this.
The story of the man, his neighbor converted to Islam. He was a Christian. So the first thing he said to him, come to the mosque. He said, okay. Miskin, he wanted to be a good believer in God, so he went to him. It was noon prayers. So he finished the noon. He wanted to go home. The man said to him, no. It's only 1 hour to the Asr. Wait. He said, okay, we'll wait for the Asr prayer. So he did the Asr. He wanted to go and have lunch. His wife, his kids are. He said, no, 2 hours for the Maghrib, Habibi. Let's do Quran, Mustahabbat, Nawafil. So he did the Maghrib. After that, he kept him for the Isha. But Alhamdulillah, after Isha, he released him. At least he allowed him to go home.
They probably want to go too, that's why.
Yeah. Following day for Fajr, when he knocked at the door, the man from underneath the blanket, lahaf, he said to him, keep this religion for you and your family. This does not work for me. So it's really how you invite people, how to make religion beautiful for them. Don't overburden them. Make this a good experience for them. This is very important. Very important. This is why our fuqaha, my friends, if you meet with them and you sit with them, sometimes we hear about them. We hear their names, we read their books, but we don't sit one-on-one. Some of them, if you sit one-on-one, you find them very open-minded. Very open-minded, really. Very, very open-minded, very tolerant. They understand the situation. They try to find the best answer, the answer which is practical. Others are tough. He sits in his room. He hasn't seen downtown his own city. And he gives fatwa and verdict. That does not make sense. Now there is a huge debate in Iran, not just Iran, Qom and Najaf both, about the age of bulugh for a female. Classically, traditionally, they say the age of bulugh is what?
9 years.
9 years. When she finishes 9 Hijri, Hijri is even less than the Miladi before. Maybe 3 months before or 4 months before. So imagine, sometimes I look at some kids, 7 years old, 8, 9. They are kids. So she has to begin her prayers and her fasting and her zakat and her hajj and everything which is wajib. She stays away from everything at the age of 8.5. Many scholars today, they say that does not make sense. Some people can, especially with Ramadan. Ramadan during summer times. Ramadan in Europe, in the Scandinavian countries, where the sunset is 11 p.m. Many of them complain, believe me, many families. They say, Maulana, my daughter is only 10 years old, 9 years old. She can't. Too much for her. Some maraja, they say, well, this is Islam. You have to listen to your Lord, and if you love your Lord, then you show this is a sign of loving your Lord. Others, they try to find the solutions. So when it comes to the translation of the Quran, we have three ways of translating the Quran. One is literal translation. الترجمة الحرفية. ترجمة الحرفية. Literal translation. Literal means that word for word. Verbatim, yes? Does this work or not? Is this a good translation?
No.
By the way, the Quran has been translated not just now, not recently. Once the Quran came to the Prophet, some nations, they were translating it to the Roman, to the Greek, to the Persian, to the... Not all of them would learn Arabic. Some of them, African nations, they have their own languages. So the process of translation started a long time ago. So one of it is the literal one. What is the problem with the literal one?
The context maybe of the whole sentence.
Uh-huh.
You know,
What will happen to it?
it'll change it.
Would it give the exact meaning? Why?
The grammar is different too.
The grammar is different. The formation of the sentence is different. Quran has a specific... Even within Arabic literature, Quran is a special. Even within Arabic, This is why they could not emulate the Quran. Because it's a special Arabic, not just Arabic. Quran is a special Arabic language, not the normal Arabic. This is why poets could not bring about even one single verse, because it's a special Arabic language, not typical Arabic language. Therefore, if you want to translate word for word, it does not work. It doesn't give the exact meaning. Doesn't give the exact meaning. Let me ask you this question. Do you think the translation would really fulfill the entire meaning? No. Transfer the entire thing that God has in His mind to you?
No.
Doesn't. Even if you read Quran in Arabic, you don't get God 100%, even if your language is Arabic. Even if your language, your first language is Arabic, still you cannot contain God's word. You cannot fathom entirely what He wants to say. This is why Quran is understood on different levels. And I mentioned this in the past. في القرآن عبارات, the hadith says, there are, number one, عبارات. عبارات means sentences or words. للعوام, to the public. So the public, according to their level of understanding, they understand words or terms. Words or terms. Okay? What is the second level after ibarat? If you go deeper, if you have more knowledge, if you have more knowledge of Quran, and if you study more, you spend 40, 50 years of your life studying the Quran. What is the next level you get to? What is after ibarat?
The context.
Ibarat, Quran says أقيموا الصلاة, so I understand that Quran says establish the prayers, stand for the prayers, practice, perform the prayers. But after ibarat, what is it? If you dive deeper,
Ta'weed or the meaning or the
they call it isharat. Isharat is deeper. Isharat, indications or signs. Signs or indications. Lil khawas. Lil khawas. Awam is public. Khawas is what? Elite. The elite. For those who are, they spent time studying 34 years of their life. And then, what is after isharat? If you go higher and deeper.
hidden meetings with prophets or mujtahids.
Before you reach the prophets. Awliya, awliya, awliya. So this is khawas. Now we come to awliya. Awliya. What do they have, the awliya here? And then here, anbiya. So what do they have here and there? After isharat, what do you think it would be? Isharat is special signs. So the one who's at the surface level doesn't understand, doesn't get these signs. He doesn't see them. But that one who's well versed, he sees the isharat. Now the awliya, they see something even deeper.
What about things like Alif Lam Mim and things like that?
Exactly. Special indication, special sign, not just any sign. A sign that needs a lot of observation and meditation. And this is, see the istikhara, my friends, the istikhara is at this level. When you take istikhara, when some people, they tell you this is specialist in istikhara, he's at this level. He can find signs. He tells you, yes. Are you applying for a job? Because he knows from the Quran. Do you want to buy a house? Do you want to travel? Do you want to marry? From these signs. The one that is deeper, Dr. Umid, deeper than isharat is what? Lata'if. Latifa. Lata'if is a plural and latifa is singular. وَلَطَائِف. What does latifa mean?
Very subtle, delicate.
Exactly. Very subtle indication or arrow that shows you a reality. Latifa. Okay? Not anyone can notice it. Why it's called latifa? Because it's not obvious. It's not very obvious. Not anyone can notice it and see it. This is from God's speech. Unless he's super intelligent, super pious, he can get it. Super pious. And those, some of the mufassirin, because of the superiority of their piety, they can give you the right tafsir. This is why we have 2,500 tafsir, my friends. 2,500. Three-quarter of them, recycle them in Newport Beach here, in the harbor. Three quarters, 75% of them, useless. Only few of them, they give you these indications. And then for the Anbiya, what is it for the Anbiya? The highest level of understanding, the correct meaning for the prophets. Exactly. أحسنت أخي وعظي. وحقائق للأنبياء. So the prophet is not confused. The prophet, when he reads the Quran, and the Imam, of course, his successor, they know the exact meaning. So we said that first translation does not work. Why? Because Arabic literature is different from other literatures. Arabic grammar is different. The formation of the sentence is different. So you cannot, sometimes, have you seen Google translation? It's funny
Yeah.
because it's literal. Google translation because it's literal. Some people in Iran, they don't want to spend money. I've seen it. Even this year I saw it in Mashhad. They put signs in Arabic because he doesn't want to pay money for someone who's, expert in language. He Googles and he puts and he spends money on the sign. The sign is expensive. And then it's funny, when you read it as an Arab, you start laughing because this is not the right translation. Or in Turkey, I saw one time in Turkey, it was very, very funny. And I asked the guy, who translated this? He said, Google, Sheikh Google. I said, because it's literal. You can't. Literal does not work. It doesn't give the meaning, or it gives funny meaning. What is the second type of translation? What is the opposite of literal? Metaphor. Metaphorical. الترجمة المعنوية. The first one was الحرفية. This one المعنوية. That you understand the sentence and you form it your own self. You put it on paper. So you convey the spirit of the sentence, not the verbatim. The spirit of the sentence. Though this is a better way of translation, listen to me carefully. Though this one is a better way than the first one, but does it entail risk or not? It is risk-free.
Loses the originality. Loses the originality.
Or you can introduce your own interpretation.
Exactly.
There is no interpretation.
Because you try to say, I understood God very well. I know exactly what goes in his mind, and I'm transferring this to you guys. This is very risky. Unless you have really lots of self-confidence and you are an expert in tafsir. And this is a very common mistake that today many interpreters and translators are committing. In Iran, when they translate to Farsi, when they translate to English, to French, to German, to Urdu, to Chinese, to Japanese. Believe it or not, I've been in this country for almost quarter a century. And I've seen, and I have it in my home, maybe 30 or 40 types of English translation. None of them is convincing for me. Some of them in some parts are good, but they fail in other parts. Because this is the work of a human being. A human being is trying to understand God. This is impossible. To understand God and then to convey God's ideas to us. This is extremely, extremely risky and difficult. This is why almost all these translations are not reliable. So this is the problem with this. Though it is better than the first one, it's not verbatim, doesn't mess up, but here you are claiming, alleging that you understood God 100% and you are conveying his ideas to the people. What is the third one? Before we conclude. What is the third one, my friends? So the first one was literal. The second was ma'nawiyya, metaphorical. What is the third way of translating the Quran?
Allegorical.
They call it التفسيرية. What is the difference between معنوية and تفسيرية? This one, the second one, he's translating, but translating the spirit, not verbatim. While this one, he's going beyond the translation. Into what?
Context.
Into explanation, elucidation, not just translation. Translation plus elucidation. Why he's doing that? Why this guy? So beyond. Why he's doing that? Why this third group of mufassirin, why they choose this method?
They want to avoid the metaphorical. Or
The
their
first two.
interpretation. They try to decrease the bias.
Ahsant. Ali said something important. Sometimes in the Quran, there are sentences, ayat, that if you just translate them, even metaphorical, and someone, an outsider, non-Muslim, would listen to it or read it, he says, what is this? Is this God? How dare God says this? This is not right. So you have to add, you have to explain. And I have many examples of that. وَالسَّارِقُ وَالسَّارِقَ فَاقْطَعُوا أَيْدِيَهُمَا. A thief, male or female, cut off their... It doesn't say, what did we say? Do you remember? The tip of the... But here it says their hands. So if you want to be honest in the translation, you have to say hands. You have to say hands. And this means hand. So if an American, European, comes and opens the Quran, the first one, oh, a thief, male or female, cut off their hand. He will shut the book and say, I don't like this God. This is a brutal God. Thief? So this person says, I have to explain, number one, who's the thief? Not any thief, not someone who steals for food, for medication, for his children, for survival, for shelter. This person is not going to be punished. Fuqaha, they say there are 40 conditions a person has to pass in order for him or her to be called a thief. 40 conditions. One of them, he should not be poor. It should not be a time of emergency. It should not be a time of famine. It should not be a crisis in the society. He should be with his full sanity. He should have money next to him, not in the bank. Sometimes he has money, but in the bank he has no access to it. No, cash money with him. Okay? He should be under no illusion. Okay? They put many conditions just to avoid calling him a thief. So this is number one. You have to explain as-sariq. Who's sariq? This is number one. Number two, فَاقْطَعُوا أَيْدِيَهُمَا. Under what conditions and how? How? Is it aidi? Is it the yad, the hand? Dast. Aidi means das hashunra, their hands. But is it really the hand? No, it's not the hand. Not even the fingers. It's the tip of the fingers here. The tip of the fingers. So in your opinion, which type of translation would you do if one day, inshallah, you become expert in Qur'anic studies? The first one, the second one, or the third one? Suppose you are doing it for American people.
commentaries help with the third one, sort of, right?
Yeah.
Commentaries sometimes.
Absolutely, commentary, of course. Of course, it has to be. Has to be. Commentary, it has to be. It has to be this one. It has to be. You have to elaborate. This is elaboration. This is elaborated translation. This one, in these countries, in these environments, societies, definitely you must do this one. Elaborated translation with commentary, with elucidation, giving the background of the story. This is how you convince people. Otherwise, okay, come to Surah At-Tawbah. Surah At-Tawbah, chapter 9, believe me, sometimes, don't say this to anyone, and the recording, don't please record. If someone recites Surah At-Tawbah without this elaborated translation, they would never accept Islam. Chapter 9. They would never accept Islam. Some of the verses, they sound horrible, horrible, horrible. But when you have elaborated translation, they tell you the background, how they arrived, the occasion of arrival, descent, asbab al-nuzul, what circumstances, what was happening, Muslims were under siege, being attacked, then, you know, otherwise if you just read it, give it to someone and give him the translation, mere translation, they would run away from Islam. They would run away from Islam. So this one, this type, and we will take some examples of this and this inshallah in the upcoming class. وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين.